Imagine for a second that all the difficulties you face, every fear, every self-doubt, aren't just barriers in your way, but a kind of compass pointing you toward your true destiny. Consider, what if the key to who you really are and what your mission is lies hidden in those aspects of your personality that you've tried to ignore, suppress, or deny? Today, we'll delve into one of the most revolutionary concepts in psychology and philosophy, Carl Jung's theory of the shadow. This isn't just a set of theoretical constructs or abstract ideas, but an opportunity to discover profound truths capable of transforming your life. By the end of this exploration, you'll not only gain an understanding of your shadow, but also learn how it holds the key to your purpose, your potential, and your freedom. The final discovery may prove to be the most powerful and transformative of all. Carl Jung, a distinguished innovator in the field of depth psychology, argued that the shadow is that part of our personality that resides in the unconscious, and that we tend to reject or feel alienated from. It includes all those qualities. The shadow, as defined by psychologists, is the collection of unacceptable or shameful desires and aspects of our personality, carefully hidden from public view and even from ourselves. However, surprisingly, it is in this dark area that the origins of our outstanding abilities and a map for achieving a harmonious life lie. Think about how often we avoid certain thoughts or actions, fearing discomfort. How often do we criticize others for qualities that we subconsciously recognize in ourselves? If you've ever had a strong reaction to someone's actions, it's highly likely that it's related to a touched part of your own shadow. Carl Jung once observed, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." The shadow isn't just darkness, it's unrealized potential, energy that we suppress out of fear or shame of facing it head-on. It's worth taking the time to reflect on your life. Are there aspects of yourself that you try to hide from others or even from yourself? Perhaps it's a fear of failure, a deeply ingrained anger, or a constant feeling of envy. Perhaps deep down there's a cherished dream or a secret desire that a person has hastened to label as unrealistic or reprehensible. But what if these seemingly unsightly sides of his nature aren't flaws to be eradicated, but important signals that need to be deciphered? The great psychologist Carl Jung was convinced that by bravely looking into his shadow, the dark, hidden part of his personality, one could integrate it into conscious perception, thereby achieving the process of individuation, that is, gaining integrity. This path isn't strewn with roses. It requires courage, genuine honesty, and a willingness to step into the unknown. However, the reward for courage is immeasurable. Jung described individuation as an exciting journey to knowing one's true self, not the mask that a person shows to the world, but the complete, authentic being woven from light and shadow. He argued that genuine growth occurs not through denial of one's shadow, but through its acceptance. Recall that every hero of myths and legends inevitably faces a moment of truth, a confrontation with their own darkness. Take, for example, Hercules, who had to fight not only external monsters. However, the path to self-knowledge isn't without its share of encounters with one's own demons and imperfections. Remember Luke Skywalker from Star Wars, who had to fight the darkness within before he could achieve true Jedi mastery. Such narratives serve as reflections of our own psychological journeys, making us wonder if we are ready to take that crucial first step. Do we have the courage to face those aspects of our personality that we have so stubbornly fled from and ask the question, what are you trying to teach me? Jung's philosophy asserts that our shadow isn't an adversary, but rather a guide, leading us to wholeness. It speaks to us in whispers through dreams, fears, and even interpersonal relationships. Have you ever wondered about recurring dreams or an inexplicable attraction to a certain idea or person? Perhaps these are signs indicating your shadow's attempts to make contact. The process of interacting with the shadow begins with awareness. Pay attention to emotions and reactions that seem disproportionate or overly intense. Often they are the key to those aspects of ourselves that we carefully hide. Once these traits are identified, the next important step is acceptance. This isn't about blindly obeying every fleeting impulse or indulging in every whim. The point is to learn to accept all aspects of your personality without labeling or judging yourself. It's important to realize the role these aspects play in life's journey. Imagine the relief that comes from letting go of the fear of your own weaknesses and shortcomings. Instead, you can learn to see them as valuable tools for personal growth and self-improvement. Just imagine how much more confident and genuine a person becomes when they accept themselves completely, with all their strengths and weaknesses. In the following chapters, the author will elaborate on how to identify and integrate your shadow side. The reader will learn about specific steps that will help turn what seems dark and negative into a source of light and positive energy. It will be explored how such integration can lead a person to realize their true life purpose. And most importantly, it must be remembered that the deepest and most important discoveries are yet to come. The reader awaits a detailed roadmap that will help not only understand their shadow, but also use it as a compass pointing the way to their destiny. The author invites you to continue this fascinating journey into the depths of the inner world to unlock the incredible potential that lies within each person. Let's begin exploring the mysterious realm of the shadow and reveal how awareness of this hidden aspect of personality can not only point to a life purpose, but also give a deep sense of harmony with oneself. The shadow manifests itself in a variety of forms, penetrating our habits, interpersonal relationships, and especially our reactions. Surely everyone has experienced a sudden emotional upsurge, when subsequently the question arose as to why the reaction was so violent. Such moments, when feelings seem to take over reason, often indicate a manifestation of the shadow. But where does the shadow get such power over us? Jung argued that the reason lies in its unconscious nature. The more we reject or suppress any trait of our personality, the more power it gains. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The more effort you put in, the more forcefully it pops to the surface when you can no longer hold it down. Now it's worth pondering. What if it were possible to bring this hidden part to light and understand its origins? Imagine how much more in control of your destiny you can become, feeling unprecedented freedom. One of the most striking examples of effective interaction with the shadow side of personality is the concept of projection, brilliantly developed by Jung. He argued that by rejecting certain aspects of their self, people tend to find them in others, which in turn leads to exacerbation of emotional reactions. For example, a person experiencing an internal struggle with feelings of their own inferiority may unconsciously criticize others who demonstrate confidence or look down on those who succeed in areas where they themselves feel vulnerable. This is not just a psychological paradox, but rather a mirror image. The world around us serves as a reflection of those parts of personality that have not yet been recognized and accepted. Jung succinctly expressed this thought: knowing your own darkness is the best method for effectively dealing with the darkness inherent in others. It's worth taking time for self-analysis. Is there someone in a person's life who causes particularly strong emotional experiences? This could be a colleague, friend, or even a family member. Instead of focusing solely on their actions, it is helpful to ask yourself, what does this reaction say about me? What part of my inner darkness am I unwittingly projecting onto others? He asks, emphasizing that this is not about painful self-criticism, but about deep self-analysis. Each such projection, in his opinion, is a chance to return a lost part of one's personality, to bring it out of the shadow of the unconscious into the light of awareness. Developing this concept, he suggests exploring the connection between the shadow aspects of personality and life's purpose. Often, he says, the traits that we diligently suppress turn out to be inextricably linked to our unique talents and deep passions. As an example, he cites a person who suppresses creativity due to fear of failure. Accepting this suppressed side, according to the author, can lead them to the work of a lifetime. He is convinced that destiny is not something we find in the outside world, but rather something we discover within ourselves. It's about achieving harmony with your true self, which includes both light and dark sides. As Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But how do you begin this difficult process of self-discovery and alignment with your true self? He suggests starting with close self-analysis, asking yourself questions that challenge established notions about yourself. What am I most afraid of in myself? He asks, calling for courage in exploring the depths of one's own soul. What character traits or aspirations of the individual have been criticized by others? What secret desires and ambitions have been buried under the weight of pragmatism and considerations of unworthiness? It is worth recording these moments and subjecting them to careful analysis. In the process of self-examination, unexpected facets of personality may be revealed, which have long remained in the shadows. Keeping a diary is another powerful tool for penetrating the depths of the subconscious. Carl Jung himself, the founder of analytical psychology, kept detailed records, using them to explore his unconscious self. He strongly recommended that his patients record their dreams, viewing them as a direct path to the unconscious. In dreams, one should pay attention to recurring motifs and symbols, asking, what message is the unconscious trying to convey? The integration of the shadow possesses a truly transformative power. Imagine an artist who deliberately avoids using dark shades in his works. His works may have a certain appeal, but they will lack depth and contrast. By accepting his shadow, a person is like an artist who uses the entire palette of colors, not afraid of bold experiments and unexpected combinations. The path to self-knowledge lies through the thorny thickets of one's personal shadow, where bright hopes and dark fears intertwine. Integration of these opposites is not indulging in base instincts or plunging into darkness, but a wise awareness and acceptance of them as an integral part of human nature. This process gives rise to deep empathy for oneself and others. A person begins to see that everyone carries their cross, the burden of internal conflicts and unrealized opportunities. This shared experience becomes a solid bridge connecting people on a deep level. Accepting one's shadow is not a fleeting insight, but a long journey that requires patience, courage, and tireless work on oneself. However, the reward for this work is the attainment of inner harmony, clarity of purpose, and the ability to live in harmony with one's true self. It is important to understand that self-knowledge is not a selfish pursuit of personal happiness. Carl Jung argued that individual growth contributes to the development of the collective unconscious, a common repository of human experience. By overcoming his internal contradictions and finding authenticity, a person not only transforms his life, but also contributes to the common good. A personality capable of inspiring and encouraging others serves as a role model. Next, specific steps for introducing the shadow into a person's everyday life will be considered. Accepting this hidden side of human nature can lead to more harmonious relationships with others, the unlocking of creative potential, and the attainment of a sense of genuine integrity. The most important discovery is yet to come. The reader will learn about the final revelation about the shadow and how it holds the key to fate. As you delve deeper into Jung's philosophy, it is worth paying attention to how to apply the principles of working with the shadow in real life. Awareness of one's shadow is an important step, but true transformation occurs through its integration. This is a kind of bridge between awareness and action, where a person begins to weave his hidden sides into the fabric of his existence. One of the first steps on this path is the practice of absolute honesty with oneself. This is about looking at yourself without embellishment. Personal growth requires courage, not excuses. One must have the courage to sincerely admit, yes, I am jealous, or yes, sometimes I unfairly judge others. But here's what's important. Self-honesty is not self-flagellation, but an awareness of one's qualities. Imagine this as tidying up a neglected room. It is impossible to effectively use the space until you acknowledge the mess. Similarly, you cannot integrate your shadow until you acknowledge its existence. An effective way to start this practice is to carefully monitor your emotional reactions. The next time a strong emotion arises, be it anger, fear, or even excessive admiration, pause and ask yourself, why am I reacting like this? What does this situation say about me? Am I projecting some part of myself onto this person or event? For example, if someone is irritating with their self-confidence, perhaps this irritation stems from their own insecurity, or perhaps their confidence is reminiscent of a character trait. In the depths of the human psyche, often unacknowledged and suppressed, lies the shadow, a repository of unsightly thoughts, unwanted emotions, and qualities that the individual prefers not to notice in himself. The process of self-discovery aimed at uncovering these shadow aspects can cause initial discomfort, tempting a person to revert to familiar defense mechanisms such as blaming or self-justification. However, it's important to remember that the goal of this journey is not self-flagellation, but a deep understanding of oneself. Each trigger, each emotional reaction serves as a kind of door leading to deeper self-awareness. Once a person has identified these aspects of their shadow, the next step is to establish a dialogue with them. Carl Jung, a prominent Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, often encouraged his patients to interact with their shadow, viewing it as a separate, independent entity. This method, while seemingly unusual at first glance, represents a way to externalize and better understand these hidden parts of the personality. Imagine a situation where a person sits opposite their shadow and begins to ask it questions. Why do you feel this way? What are you trying to protect me from? What do you need from me to feel acknowledged and accepted? This dialogue can be realized through various forms of self-expression, such as journaling, meditation, or visualization. The main goal is to create a safe space where the shadow can feel seen and heard, where its voice can be recognized and understood. The shadow cast by the personality is not an adversary, but an integral part of its being. It is that part that, perhaps clumsily and imperfectly, but sincerely, sought to protect and guide a person on their life path. For many, immersing themselves in this area of the psyche becomes a source of striking discoveries and revelations. It is quite possible to discover that a long-standing fear takes its roots in childhood experiences, or to realize that a character trait that a person has diligently suppressed is actually a dormant force, yearning for release. Integrating the shadow has a profound impact on interpersonal relationships. Shadow aspects of the personality affect not only the inner world, but also the manner of interacting with others. Often, unresolved conflicts and internal contradictions are projected onto relationships, creating tension and discord. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you constantly have disagreements with a certain person on the same issue? Or perhaps you have noticed recurring scenarios in relationships, such as attraction to a certain type of partner or encountering the same problems. Carl Jung, a prominent Swiss psychologist, argued that relationships function as mirrors, reflecting our unconscious. When something in another person evokes a strong negative reaction, it may be a sign that this person reflects those aspects of our own shadow that we do not recognize or accept. Often, dislike for another person arises because they embody a character trait or behavioral pattern that resonates with one's own shadow side of the personality. Awareness of this interconnectedness can transform conflict into a stimulus for personal growth. Instead of placing blame on another person or feeling resentment, it is worth asking yourself, what lesson can I learn from this situation about myself? Such a revision of one's own position not only contributes to deepening self-awareness, but also develops empathy and understanding. Expanding on this thought, it is worth noting that accepting one's shadow side can significantly increase creative potential and purposefulness. Carl Jung argued that the shadow is not just a repository of negative traits, but also an inexhaustible source of hidden opportunities. The energy that was previously spent on suppressing the shadow can be directed into a creative channel. For example, restrained anger can become a powerful stimulus for active advocacy or the struggle for social transformation. A hidden desire for attention can fuel artistic self-expression or inspire public speaking. By integrating their shadow, a person regains the energy that was previously spent on concealing it. This allows a person to direct their energy into activities that resonate with their true essence. History knows many examples of great artists, writers, and leaders who drew inspiration from their inner shadows. Let us recall the paintings of Frida Kahlo, permeated with sincerity and frankness in the depiction of pain and self-identity. Martin Luther King Jr., consumed by anger at the prevailing injustice, channeled it into a powerful movement that changed the world. Carl Jung himself viewed creativity as a path to individuation. He argued that through creative activity, whether it be painting, literature, or finding unconventional solutions, we establish contact with our unconscious, including the shadow aspects of the personality. It is worth thinking about everyone's personal life. Surely there are hobbies or projects that have been postponed indefinitely due to perceived risk or vulnerability. What if the true expression of self lies within them, waiting for its moment? The integration of the shadow will inevitably lead to positive changes. Those facets of personality and feelings that once seemed like an unbearable burden or a cause for shame will eventually transform into inexhaustible sources of inner strength and profound wisdom. A person will discover the ability to live in harmony with themselves, feeling confident in every step and clarity in their aspirations. In the concluding part of the narrative, the hidden truth about the shadow will be revealed. That very dark side of the human soul, and how accepting this part of oneself can lead to profound changes not only in personal life, but also in the surrounding world. The reader awaits a revelation that will unite all the knowledge gained and point the way to realizing their highest potential. As we approach the culmination of this spiritual journey, it is worth pausing and reflecting on the importance of everything that has been discovered. The shadow, this hidden and often frightening part of the human essence, is not a curse but rather a precious gift awaiting its moment. It holds the key to authenticity, creative self-expression, and ultimately to realizing one's purpose. But what does it really mean to accept your shadow, and how can this act of integration transform life? Both the inner world of a person and their interaction with the surrounding world shape their personality. To understand this, it is necessary to accept an important truth emphasized by Jung. Wholeness is not achieved through denying parts of oneself. Wholeness arises from unity, from the harmonious combination of all aspects of personality. Jung said that enlightenment comes not through imagining figures of light, but through conscious awareness of the darkness. This is the essence of working with the shadow, not in denying the dark sides, but in understanding, accepting, and using them for personal growth. How can one become aware of this darkness? One effective way is through vulnerability. By openly acknowledging one's fears, doubts, and shortcomings, a person deprives them of their power. Vulnerability is not weakness but strength, a willingness to say, "I am who I am, and that is enough." Consider relationships in life. How often do people wear masks, showing only those sides of themselves that they think others will accept? This tendency, despite its explicability, creates a barrier between a person and genuine closeness with others. When an individual decides to accept their shadow side, they essentially give themselves carte blanche to express their essence in its entirety, allowing others to see and appreciate them as they truly are. Such authenticity has a magnetic effect, attracting people, inspiring trust, and fostering deeper, more meaningful relationships. And it's not just about interpersonal connections, but also about the impact a person has on the world around them. By integrating their shadow, a person ceases the internal struggle with themselves. This inner peace and harmony are projected into the external world, influencing how they approach complex tasks, unfolding opportunities, and even the realization of their mission. They become a person whose actions are dictated by wholeness, not fragmentation. Let's look at purpose through this lens. Many people waste their lives searching for meaning, mistakenly believing that it is somewhere outside and needs to be found. However, Carl Jung convinces us that true purpose is born within. It is a natural consequence of alignment with one's authentic self, including the shadow side of personality. Think about it. A person's purpose is not just a list of actions performed. It is a reflection of their essence. It is a unique blend of their talents, passions, and even past difficulties, defining their contribution to the surrounding world. The shadow side of personality plays an important role in this process. It is not an obstacle on the path to the goal, but serves as a kind of guide. For example, a person who has struggled with feelings of worthlessness may find their calling in helping others realize their significance. Someone who has experienced anger or disappointment can direct this energy to creating fair systems or defending rights. Past emotional wounds can become a source of wisdom and understanding. The deepest understanding of this issue belongs to Jung, who believed that the integration of the shadow could transform not only the individual, but all of humanity. This is because by facing their inner darkness, a person becomes more compassionate, understanding, and sensitive to others. They realize that the difficulties they have encountered are not their personal, unique problem. The shadow aspects of personality, being an integral part of human existence, shape the unique experience of each individual. Imagine a society where more and more people are willing to face their inner demons. Instead of projecting their own fears and doubts onto others, they accept them as part of themselves, striving for healing and personal growth. In such a world, conflicts will lose their intensity, mutual understanding will reach new depths, and humanity as a whole will move closer to a state of spiritual enlightenment. This is the true power of shadow work. It is not just a pursuit of self-improvement, but an active contribution to creating a more conscious, harmonious, and compassionate world. The author encourages readers to look within themselves, paying attention not only to the qualities they are proud of, but also to those they carefully hide from prying eyes. It is important to ask yourself, what lessons is my shadow trying to teach me? How can I use this knowledge to live more authentically and fully? What specific steps can I take today to begin this journey towards integrating my personality? It should be remembered that this is not a short-term process, but a continuous journey that lasts a lifetime. However, each step on this path brings a person closer to their true purpose and helps to unlock their inherent potential. This is not the end, but rather a starting point for a new stage, where the individual accepts themselves in their entirety, with all their strengths and weaknesses, and confidently moves towards the life they are meant to live. The author expresses gratitude for the listeners sharing this journey of self-discovery with him. He hopes that everyone will find enough courage, wisdom, and peace of mind to further explore the depths of their inner world. In conclusion, the author appeals to the audience to share their impressions, reflections, and questions. What discoveries has the exploration of the shadow sides of the personality brought? What resonated the most? Perhaps someone's ideas will inspire others, helping them take the first step on the path of self-analysis and personal growth. The author thanks you for your attention and wishes each listener further success in this difficult but exciting process of knowing yourself, achieving inner harmony, and realizing your potential.